Got a little announcement for you guys, because next to our Mechanics of Poker program and masterclasses, we have now released the Poker Ambition Academy. In this academy, you will be receiving weekly interactive webinars based on your pain points. We will be discussing all areas that you can improve in to become a more successful poker player, taught by coaches who have walked the path that you're currently walking. So if you're interested, go over to the site, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the academy. Toma. How are you guys today? Flat Kings, let's learn. Today, as you might see, we are live, because when I speak, you respond, I can immediately respond as well. Which usually means that if I now start playing, people can see my whole card. Which means that we're not playing, but I do have something else for you guys in pedo. Which is some 40k NL. Okay. Big boy stakes. Okay. No fucking baby money.
So dumb. That's why you play this baby money limit. You fucking donk!
No baby money here, my friend. No baby money here. This is real money. From what I understood, this guy Armando Davano, my Maltese friend, Mella, he won quite some money in a tournament and decided that a lineup of Micah Boyfin, Linus Love, Kevin Piquet, and think True Teller, not 100% sure. They play super deep. Any major strategy shift except the value of suited connectors going up. Yes, there's definitely a major strategy shift. As when you're that deep, you're likely, so let's say they are both going to be deep, right? So obviously power of position will count more. And you're often going to, like, you cannot really get the money in before the river, which usually means that you're gonna usually play all streets. And that's something that you have to take in consideration, that you're more often going to see a river. And for example, a big difference is as well, especially when making a river bet out of position. Let's say you're 100 BB, right? You play a 3-bet pot. You 3-bet, you bet the flop, bet turn, you jam river. Whereas suddenly it's 200 BB deep, and it's bet flop, bet turn, bet river. He raises all in. That's an extra line that will decrease the EV of the out of position player, right? Because he suddenly has an extra option. You're no longer closing the action. Little 3-bet, cold 4-bet here actually from Linus. Expect to see a very small C-bet. Close to range on this king high board. And I don't think there's much that Mikey Boyfriend here can do about it. Indeed, the small C-bet takes place and I expect a fold. And that's kind of how poker works. In a 4-bet pot on a king high board. It's a little squeeze here from Kevin. Gonna isolate Mr. Armando. Armando not afraid. Let's see if this is a good board for Armando in terms of set advantage, as I think Kevin would not squeeze deuces, fours, 8, but Armando would definitely call. So there is a set advantage. And this is also in terms of, someone asked about playing deep stack. So let's say you're playing 30 big blinds, okay, in this spot. Then, let's say his range remains the same. Obviously, things might change a little bit. But then the fact that he sometimes has a set, it's like, yeah, okay, GG. You know, an overpair is just the nuts. Whereas the deeper you get, the more the overpair is not the nuts, okay? So, like here already, 150 BB deep, it becomes a little bit dangerous. But let's see what happens. Luckily for Kevin, he's probably a little bit wider. He does actually start with a check. It's definitely not a range bet board for the reasons that I just gave. In general, if someone has a lot of strong hands in his range, it's not a good idea, especially the deeper you get, to start investing a lot of money in that pot. Armando starts with a little bet. And I don't expect Kevin ever to have a folding range versus this sizing. Need to bet more of your nuts? I mean, you need to bet your nuts. It's not completely true actually, but yeah, getting money in with the nuts, whatever stack size, is probably a good idea. But yeah, the deeper you get, the more you want to play lines when you have the nuts. And that nuts is most likely to stay the nuts. You want to take lines that get the money in, right? Don Artie says, Very proud and happy to see that Kevin made it. He used to play with him in Rotterdam in the casino 2015, he said. Does Linus use the flat call as well? And me actually have a little 3-way pot here going on. Kevin is isolating Mr. Armando, which he's gonna do quite often. 6-10, deuce 7. And the board starts to run out a little bit in this area, but definitely a spot where Kevin should look to still get a lot of value. Gets a call. Now Armando, okay, it's an 8 river. You know, for the people who are fan of Donkey, I do see, like, for example, I had like pocket 8s or pocket 9s being more likely in Armando's range than Kevin. Same with a hand like 7-8 suited, 6-7 suited, for that matter. 9-10 suited. I would say Kevin though has more ace-9 suited, maybe king-9 suited. I think it's a bit divided, but I would say we would probably have a leading range here if we're out of position. Okay, not all people agree.
You fucking donk! You do it again. I remember in a video before I've told you to not donk. Why do you do that? Why do you do that? So dumb.
But yeah, let's see if Armando listens to the Wakko and throws a little donkey dunk. Or if he listens to Mr. Gordon and doesn't try a little donkey dunk. He checks! No donkey dunk. Maybe he just has like ace-10, king-10. And like 6-5 would be a good bluff. He's a bit wider probably, so he would also have ace-6. Also an okay bluff. I guess in practice we could maybe turn like 10-jack or something into a bluff, as we don't really gonna have ace-6 suited, so. He has jacks! Interesting, could check jam the turn. And Kevin has king-10 off, so Kevin definitely going after him. Not a, you know, not a very GTO 3-bet.
Clearly, this is a deliberate deviation from the quote-unquote correct strategy.
So all right, deliberate deviation. Okay, if it's deliberate, you know, then you can do anything. Hey, Wakko, I have a question. In some spots where we should polarize our range, why some players use 66 and some 75%? Because for that sizing, they are already sort of polarizing. It depends, it's certain boards. There are spots where you polarize towards a bigger sizing, but you don't want to go bigger because you're a bit capped. That's in a theory a spot where you do want to polarize, but your opponent remains uncapped. Then you don't want to go too big. We get a little pop bet here on the turn by Kevin. Do you need help explaining what the hell goes on in these videos? Well, then Poker Ambition is the place to go to. We offer various services for various levels of players. Go over to our site, pokerambition.com, to find out more. Wakko, trying to optimize my schedule recently. Been waking up at 5. That's early. Grinding a 4 hours and more, followed by studying. Hey, that's exactly sort of what I'm doing. Only I'm playing for 3 to 4 hours. Followed by studying. Do you think playing 30 hours a week is enough? No, you should not be looking to grind more. So grinding more is never, in my opinion, it's not the solution at lower stakes. You should always focus on improving. For the people who didn't follow my my webinar, the free webinar I gave, let me put it up for you guys. Where did I put that one? So I gave a free webinar for the people who've missed it, and in there I explained something about the strategies of a grinder versus the investor. It's good, very good advice, so I'll put it right here. This is the sheet. Let me zoom out so it fits on screen. Can we read it like this? No, let me put it to this screen. Here you can see it, right? Yes, this should make sense. Can everyone see it? So we had the short-term grinder and the investor. Basically, the example that I gave is guys, and a lot of people are gonna be the short-term grinders. Basically, you guys play a lot of hands, especially early on, because you think you need to make volume. You know, you've heard someone say volume. You don't want to be lazy, right? It's like, oh, you only play 4 hours a day, you lazy fuck. No, It's not necessarily how it works. Often, if you look at the total volume someone plays, let's say, for example, you play 8 hours a day. I can guarantee you that the last 2 hours of your session, you will make maybe 25% of your normal win rate at maximum. So usually the last 2 hours of your session, just don't play them and invest them in studying would already be a greater idea. But basically the example that I gave is the guy plays 60,000 hands, so twice the amount of volume as the investor. He plays more tables, so quality goes down, win rate goes down. But you know, he definitely in the beginning makes more money than the investor, right? Because the investor only plays half of the volume. But because he only plays half of the volume, has a little bit of a higher win rate because he may place less tables. But also he spends more time in trying to improve himself, right? Trying to study, trying to get better. Just like I just showed you how I use GTO Wizard. Export my hands, see if I can improve, get a couple of focus points for next session, improve, improve, improve. The person who does that better will make it in the end. So this guy, as we can see in the investor, I think after a year or so, they are making around the same money per month. Yes. And then in the end, he made like 50% more money or something than the short-term grinder, right? Short-term grinder in the beginning made more, but the investor invested, that's why it's called an investor, in the long run. So in my opinion, your whole strategy in the beginning should be based up on how can I get to mid-stakes, 500 NL in my opinion. That should always be the goal. How can I get there? And then from there, you could maybe look at, okay, what's best for my hourly, for example, right? Ah, so it's kept raised. 3-bet, yeah, Linus saw the king 10 off there with Kevin. He's like, fuck you, man. We're gonna go a little bit wider than GTO here. Alright, that's how exploitation works, right? You identify that someone doesn't play quote, quote, correct, aka GTO. Therefore, you can start exploiting. So definitely would go a lot wider here. Because he's opening too wide, he's 3-betting too wide, so you should fold 4-bet wider as well. Or at least that's the opportunity. If you want to just stick with your own strategy, that's fine as well, but that's not maximizing. This board, I think we can see some half pots and some more checks compared to the king 10-4. Like the king 10-4 all the way in the beginning in a 4-bet pot. King high boards in general just nail you, so you can just see bet a lot for small sizing. There's nothing villain can do. Here usually we do want to size a little bit bigger because the board is lower. That's legit 300% pots. Yeah, that's exactly what someone said, right? About the polarization story. So we did see like a 40%, not a 1/3. Whereas on the other board, he just bet at 4K. Here he sizes up to 8K. This is a big pot and it's 3-way. Ah, okay, so it's a squeeze. The line is showing a little cold call. Okay, you think he uses the Gavin Smith flat call, guys?
The next tip I want to tell you about
Let me explain
is what I consider to be my strongest weapon in no limit Texas Hold'em. It's called the flat call. So I basically will flat call with just about anything before the flop. So my boy raises pre-flop, I see 2 kings, I flat call. For the next time when my boy raises up pre-flop, I look down, I've got the 6-4 offsuit. I want to call then too. I'll flat call. And it's going to be the same regardless, and they can decide whether or not this is which time it is. That way it's always the opponent guessing whether this is the time Gavin's calling with the big hand, or this is the time he's just trying to hit a flop to snap somebody off.
Yes, yes, yes. The stream only gets more educational. Actually, we saw a check here on the 3-4 queen, which is pretty interesting. I guess the queen does hit Linus quite well, but the 3s and 4s, it's probably not in there pre-flop, especially given the fact that he was already shorter. I guess I think we should just see bet range, because basically, yes, he will have some queens, and now he delayed c-bets for the small sizing. I guess I will just go again for he plays his hand and he has jacks, even though it's very unlikely given the river is now a jack. It's quite simple. If he now checks, I think he has 10s. If he bets, he has jacks. That's, I think, how this spot now plays. Don't fall for it, Linus. Yes, you beat. Of course, Linus knows. Hey, Wakko, what do you think is the best site for micro-stakes players right now? Actually, this is quite interesting. I just got off a call. And in general, I get this question quite often. And soon, actually, I will soon make a post on our blog People don't follow our blog, guys. There's a lot of fucking good knowledge out there. Go over to pokerambition.com/ I don't know. Is there / blog? Actually, I have no clue. Let me check. Poker Ambition blog. Yeah, Poker Ambition / blog, guys. This is the blog. You got the delayed gratification. It was someone pointed me out. Shout out to that guy. He said, listen, the delayed gratification. I said, listen, me and my friends were a big fan of your posts, all right? But the latest one, grammatically speaking, it was so bad we couldn't read it. And then I looked. Normally, if I write it, which, you know, I write it, but then it usually gets sent to someone else, right? And he checks it, but that didn't happen, and my grammar sucks. I mean, dunk betting is my skill, not writing in any language, whether that's English, Dutch, or Portuguese. So, but yeah, we have some posts there. We have lessons learned, the Wakko Says edition, all the Wakko Says guys, amazing stuff. Principles, a lot of good knowledge in there, a lot more. And I will actually add a post here, maybe even add a link somewhere about a good guide to players beginning to play poker, where to play, how, you know, their strategy. Like I said, they talk a bit about the investment strategies. GTO Wizard has a built-in security feature where if you run live scenarios while playing it, that's great, man. So actually, I didn't know about that, but that would actually be a really cool move from GTO Wizard as well. If they did that, if they actually thought about that. Normally, I think programs or businesses, I think, would just put that responsibility with the site. You know, yeah, that's a problem of the site. But if they actually did that, I think that's very good. Yeah, exactly. No, this is exactly what happens. This is exactly what happens. What Onlyhide said. Everyone's hand histories just get tracked, and if you get too close to GTO, they put you under investigation. Remember, guys, that was our marketing scheme. Wakko was too close to GTO, so they banned me. I had it open actually. I had the same one time, yeah. Where after the session, I realized the browser still had it open. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have the browser open anyway. Unibet Poker is rating with a party of 36. Thank you very much. Don't read up that I recommended. Someone recommended Unibet, and then I re-recommended not to. Not because of Unibet. If you want to have a good soft game, especially for lower stakes, I think it's a very cool site to play on. I like the graphics. I like the software. They definitely leveled out the player field for the recreationals. But I said, in terms of if you're a professional, from what I know, you cannot really track data, so you cannot really review your own game. So if you want to get better, then I wouldn't recommend playing there. But I think especially for lower stakes players, recreational players, someone who takes it semi-seriously, who doesn't necessarily want to climb up the whole poker mountain, I think it's definitely a great choice. What happened here? Check call, check, bet river. Hey, sizing. Again, I don't really think... Let me see. In position on the turn, it's definitely going to be pot controlling. Some hands like ace king. Don't really think this is a sizing that's going to be used all that often. But let's check it out. King 9 7. Check. No donks, of course. Range bet, as sort of expected. Or a small sizing, that's I think what he also did. And turn, so call. Turn jack. Check. Ace king indeed checking, as expected. Check. River was a queen, right? No, it doesn't really feel like the correct sizing. So actually it's, again, I expected indeed a lot of way more smaller bets. I think that, again, makes way more sense. Because basically you can sort of bet your range. Like the only hand that doesn't want to bet is ace queen suited. So yeah, again, I think it's a bet sizing that it's used with his hand. And I think the opportunity usually for imposition here is just to... We saw that last time also with the ace. I would say that again, then he has value. I think the most likely value hand is 9s or 10s. And again, we face a little raise here from Eunice, just like he raised when it was the ace jack. I mean, Eunice has so many 10s as well, pocket 10s, jack 10 suited, king 10 suited, 10s that the out position has less, as he doesn't really... Here we can see on the river, he doesn't always have 10s, doesn't always have king 10, he almost never has jack 10, he never has ace 10. So I actually had a bluff. Interesting. Also for a bluff, I think it's... Yeah, doesn't really feel right. Now, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Take a look at other videos that we've made. I'm sure you will like them as well. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. And make sure to join our Discord community so you can stay up to date with new content, new promotions that we have running here at Poker Ambition. And if you want to know more about Poker Ambition and our services, go over to the site pokerambition.com. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.